Hello there, this is Trunks for you, or Nerdy Geeky, and this is another nerdy news section, but this is the, I'm doing like a Star Wars lore section within nerdy news now. And although this isn't technically news, this is sort of addressing misconceptions, you could say, that people have. The one misconception I want to address is the cave scene in Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. A lot of people think that this was very disjointed and it didn't really explain itself, and it didn't. There was a deleted scene where it did explain itself and explain like what it was and what it meant. Unfortunately, they deleted it, and it kind of doesn't mean anything now. I mean, okay, Luke Skywalker walks into this cave that he gets a cold feeling from, which Yoda promptly tells him that the dark side of the Force gives you that feeling. And when he walks in there, he fights what seems to be some sort of robot Darth Vader in kind of slow motion blurriness. They have a really weak lightsaber fight. He cuts his head off, the head rolls, and the faceplate blows off, and it's Luke Skywalker's face. It's a good scene if you know about the cave. And obviously it alludes to the fact that Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father, that you find out at the end of the film. Spoiler alert. And that Luke Skywalker, if he doesn't finish his training under Yoda properly, he could possibly turn to the dark side or be seduced by the dark side and become the next Darth Vader, which is what nearly happens in Episode 6, basically, when he starts whacking Darth Vader with his lightsaber. He touches very slightly on the dark side, and if he had killed Darth Vader as Anakin Skywalker killed Count Dooku in Episode 2, he would be on his path then fully to become towards the dark side. Of course, he chops off Darth Vader's hand, who has a penchant for losing hands, just like his son. They may travel around with a guy called Han, but they do like to lose hands between them. Bad pun alert. But anyway, the cave scene. If you've read around the lore, then you'll know that the cave is actually called the Cave of Evil. And the reason it's called this is because a Sith either died there or is buried there, and he was very, very powerful. And when he died or when he was buried, his dark side force seeped out of him into this cave, and now it's kind of like his spirit is still there, but I don't think you actually see him as a spirit. It's just that his immense dark side force gives people visions. And this wasn't a robot Darth Vader, it was a vision of that Luke Skywalker was having. And it was supposed to be that the Force is telling him that Darth Vader's your dad, you're related to him, you could almost become him if you don't tread carefully in the very near future. And it's the Cave of Evil that actually protects Yoda. Yoda's so strong with the Force that even if he doesn't use it, the Emperor Palpatine would be able to find him when he meditates quite easily and send Darth Vader or troopers or even Boba Fett or anyone after him to kill him. A lot of Jedi are still alive, and they suppress their Force power, and they don't use the Force, and therefore they get sort of underneath Emperor Palpatine's radar. But Yoda's so powerful, and as far as we know, he could even be the last of his species, that Emperor Palpatine could find him very, very easily. So the Cave of Evil gives off so much dark side energy that it masks Yoda's light side force, basically. So when people go into there, they tend to have visions, and if you've ever read any of the Expanded Universe, I haven't read a lot of it, or what they call Legends now. I haven't read a lot of it, but there is a scene where Mara Jade apparently went into there, or Luke Skywalker goes into there like 6 years after Yoda dies, and then he sees that Mara Jade should have been there when he was... she should have been there when he was on Jabba's skiff, basically, getting thrown into the Sarlacc pit. And apparently, if she had been there, then he would have been killed, because she would have ensured it, because she was that powerful. And we all know that eventually she becomes a Jedi in her own right. And obviously marries Luke Skywalker. Spoiler alert. But yeah, if she had been there, Luke Skywalker would have died, because she would have ensured it, because she is badass. But she wasn't there for some reason. I don't know why. I can't remember why now. But she wasn't there, and Luke Skywalker obviously lived, and the films went on as they did. but it was neat to sort of slip that in. But yeah, so you saw that go in there, you get different visions at the different times of your life, and that's what the Cave of Evil is. The Cave of Evil gives you visions about the future, the past, something that's going to happen, and the cave scene was Luke Skywalker seeing that he could easily become Darth Vader if he turns to the dark side and doesn't complete his training with Yoda, and also, unbeknownst to him at the time, is that he was related to Darth Vader in some fashion. Basically, Darth Vader was his father, and you learn that about an hour later into the film. So yeah, that is the cave scene explained. So hopefully that's cleared things up to you. If you want to write anything in the comments below, if I've missed anything or misinterpreted something. If you don't agree, you do agree. And by the way, this also goes towards that silly theory that, or goes against, I should say, that silly theory that Yoda is a Force ghost. He is not a Force ghost, he is alive. The reason why he is stuck on that planet is because he chooses to be, because as soon as he leaves that planet, Emperor Palpatine is going to be like, I know where Yoda is, and Yoda's in hiding until Luke came to him. Ben was always going to send him to Yoda, and Yoda was always going to train him. Whether he was too old or not, he was always going to be trained because he was the last hope. But Yoda didn't want to train him to become a Sith because he's too old and he couldn't handle like the training. So that's why he was very careful about it. But no, Yoda is alive. He's not a ghost. It's the Cave of Evil that protects him from Emperor Palpatine's sort of vision range. So there you go. That's the cave scene explained. Please stay tuned because I have some more things to talk about the Star Wars lore. I may even make a new section for this, but at the moment I'm going to leave it under Nerdy News because there's not a lot of news out there that you probably haven't already read or seen or whatever. So I might just start explaining some of the lore. Thank you very much for watching.